It's now time for the #1 podcast in iHeartRadio. It's Your House is Key, the podcast that opens the door to your dream home. Hosted by the remarkable Dannel Shepard, he's your trusted guide in the world of real estate. Whether you're buying your first home, selling your current one, or simply curious about the market, this podcast is your one-stop shop for all things real estate. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host and my good friend, Dannel Shepard.
What's up? It's your boy Dannel Shepard with the Your House is Key podcast. You may have saw me on the news the other day and we were covering the government shutdown and the effects it have on the market. Well, guess what? I got longer than 4 minutes. And if you got the time, I got the time. And I'm going to break down what this truly means for you, right? So some of this may sound repetitive, but guess what? You need it, you hear, and I appreciate it. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And I hope you got your pen and paper to take notes. So again, let's talk about it. Overall, grand scheme of things, the market is not shut down. It's just slowed down. You got private lenders, you got Fannie Mac, you got Freddie Mac. They open. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and private lenders, they still open. We call them conventional loans or non-traditional loans. Private lenders, you got your own money. There's things that's still moving in this economy, right? And then you got your government-backed loans. You're going to see some slowdowns. Why? Because there's less people working. When you got less people working, hey, who's going to pick up this load? But that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue you're going to see is uncertain. Who is uncertain about what to do? That's right. It's not me. It's you. You as the buyer, you as the seller. Being uncertain about what's happening next and sitting back and waiting will cause a hesitation, a slowdown, and a pause in the market. So I'm about to dive into exactly what these cool downs could be and what can trigger these things. So stay tuned. Let's get into it. You ready? All right, well, let's go. So first thing I'm covering home loans, right? Because people want to know, if I'm in the middle of a transaction, what do I do? Well, if you're in an FHA loan, like I was saying in a little intro, you're there, you're government backed, but you're now slower than normal, right? You're still being backed by the government. It's just slower. When we talking VA loans, they're still guaranteeing your money. However, add some padding and some cushion when it comes to needing to get the appraisal and the verification. Again, I just mentioned this. There's lower staffs when it comes to government shutdown. Again, the market's not shut down. The government's shut down. So there's people that just may be at home right now. So that's more loads. For you guys at the USDA loan, you're buying rural, you're buying larger land, you want to take advantage of the USDA loans in the certain areas that you're in. Right now, that program is currently being paused until further notice. Actually, until the government comes up with an agreement and the funding is back out there. Once the funding is back up and out, USDA loans will be back live, right? Give me a second, get a little dry throat to make sure I'm clear for you. All right, conventional loans. Keep trucking through. Everything's at this moment, everything seems clear for you. Keep pushing, keep trucking through. Why? Because, you're not a government-backed loan unless you got grants, whether it's OFA grant, whether it's a Welcome Home grant, whether, there's so many other grants out there that could be packaged up with a conventional loan that could cause a hiccup and a delay in your process. But make sure you communicate with your lender, your realtor, and don't leave the sellers out the loop. Communicate about what's going on, because it helps each other have patience and build up a bigger bond of trust and communication along the way. So together, you guys can make your goal and objective of buying and selling a home come true. Key word there is patience. And I'm going to add another one, communication. All right. So the next part I want to talk about, and I'll make sure I get through this carefully, because a lot of people don't think about this, right? A lot of people don't look this up until underwriting and you need it. And then they asking you for documentation on it. Well, what is it I'm talking about? I am talking about flood insurance. If you're buying a house in a flood zone or the flood plains or any of that, right? Lines could be moved and you didn't know. So guess what? If you need flood insurance, the National Flood Insurance Program is now on hold. So what does that mean? That means no new or renewal policies will be issued until further notice. So if you can't secure coverage, your closing will be delayed. So if you're in the midst of a transaction, this is things you want to talk to your seller about. This is things that your realtor should look up for you. And even the lender should be able to pull, and you as well. There's sites out there to let you know so you can find out if your home does need or will need flood insurance. That's a hiccup. But guess what? If we communicate upfront and early, why can't we work this out together? We all have one common goal, right? My point exactly. So people want to know, whenever I'm talking about real estate, the first, well, what about the rates? Well, we're going to talk about the rates right now. And then I also want to talk about, when I'm talking about the rates, about the level of confidence that this plays, right? So right now, your rates are holding steady. Why are rates holding steady? Because they follow bigger trends, bigger national trends. They follow things like inflation, right? Not shutdowns, inflation and data and what's going on. Current trends that's already in place is what your rates follow. Sometimes, I'm not going to say they may not take a little dip, but with little dips, what you will see is investors will move their investments over to treasuries and out of the real estate market until they see further implementations that the government is back open, houses are back readily available. And guess what? Remember that word uncertainty that I used earlier? When that's gone. And what happens when that's gone? You build confidence. And until that confidence is back in the market, they're going to do safe things like bonds and securities, right? But it's usually only temporary. So confidence again, where does the confidence come from? Well, it comes from you. When I say you, I'm talking to the federal employees, right? You missing paychecks, you're unsure about timing, that creates hesitation. Again, those things, once they are addressed, you become confident in the market. You're ready to get back out there and do your things. Lower confidence, slower activity, right? When you have slow activities, that means low to no showings and low amount of buyers, right? So again, remember I said patience. Activity slows down when there's when you're not secure, you're not confident about things that's going on. So take your time. Think about it. Make sure you have an A, B, and C together, because when time is right, you need to know. But it does come with confidence, and most people feel confidence when they know what's going on with the rate in the market. But again, guess what? The market's not broken. It's just slowed down. So I mentioned federal workers. So let me help break this down, right? If you're a federal employee, you have a roadblock in front of you. And your roadblock, or your biggest challenge that you have, is income verification. Well, when you buy a house, what do lenders want to see? You have money or you're making money. And not if you're making money here and there, but making money consistently, right? So if your paycheck is paused, they may be telling you to hold on, wait, we need full approval. Because when you're furloughed, that interrupts the consistent paycheck that you may receive. But guess what? I said some things earlier and I'm going to keep going back to. Open communication and understanding. Talk to your lender. Talk to your realtor. You guys should have a strong bond, a strong team, to where you can have these conversations of what can I do and what's next. And there's more than these points, but I'm going to give you a couple gems to put in your pocket and start the proper conversation with your lender as well, right? Here's your first one. You get all your W-2s and pay stubs that you can get a hold of and show them, hey, I've been working. I was making money. This is just temporary, right? Show it. Do you have that? Get that information together. The next thing you can do is possibly think about a cosigner. Start making phone calls. See who's willing to do a cosign with you and see if that can help out the situation. The third gem I want to give you, hey, ask your lender and I don't know if this will work or not, but this could be something that could help you if a larger down payment will help you overcome the obstacles or the hurdles that you're currently facing. And you may need to do all three. But again, that's a conversation that you need to have with your current lender. The goal is to show stability, right? Show stability. So if you're under contract, please don't panic. Stay in touch, communicate, and make sure that you have patience and give yourself some grace and patience too. Because this isn't the first shutdown. It's just happening now, right? Okay. And I also want to tell you, just because you slowed down and you got to pause, that doesn't mean you're denied and doesn't mean you can't. It just means you need to take your time. Okay? So listen, I'm giving you a lot to digest. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a little wrap up of everything that's going on, right? So the market is not shutting down. It's just slowing down, right? If you're using a government-backed loan or government grants in your conventional loan, anything that's tied to the government, build in some extra time inside of your contract. Please build it in upfront and let them know. But also make sure your lender is a voice for you as well during your transaction when speaking to the people on the other side. If you're conventional, keep moving forward. Just be flexible, okay? Be flexible. And if you're a federal worker, communicate early and often, as much as you can. Keep your options open. This is a season for patience, a season for understanding, and to work together. Both sides have a goal. You got a house to sell, you got a house to buy. So even if that means, hey, I need to get a storage unit to move it in, and eventually I need to pay to get it moved out. So that means you got to move twice. Even if that is, if you're renting, you need to go on an extra, or go to month to month. There's so many options. There's so many other things that you can do. Remember, patience, communication, and working together. Those are the things that you need to pay attention to. It's not broken. It's not shut down. It's just slowed down. And always remember, I'm Dannel Shepard, your favorite realtor. And if you're working with me, trust me, we're going to put a plan together and we're going to make your dream come true. Why is that? Because with me, your house is key. And I'm Dannel Shepard. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast. And I'm out. Make sure you hit me up, like, subscribe, and share. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Your House is Key with Dannel Shepard. Each week, Dannel dives into essential tips, insider secrets, and expert advice to help you navigate the exciting journey of home ownership and home selling. From understanding market trends and finding the perfect neighborhood to even securing financing, staging your home, and closing the deal, there's only one guy that gets it done. Dannel Shepard, right here at yourhouseskey.com.